Hello everyone. This time we're going to go a bit south and we're going to visit Costa Rica. In 2016, and I think it was February, we decided to have a little getaway, and so we traveled down to Costa Rica. So we landed in San Jose and we found a hotel nearby, and so we spent a couple of days visiting San Jose. And after that, we went up to Monteverde, where there are rain clouds and coffee plantations. And then from there, we went to Tambor and hung around that area a bit. And then from there, we returned over to be closer to the airport. We stayed a couple of days nearby. Now at the hotel, in the courtyard, they had this great big tree, and of course I don't know exactly what variety it was, but it was a beautiful big tree. Of course, Karen, the minute she saw that pool, she was, "I'm going in." And I moseyed over to this cow, and this cow was on an exchange trip from Switzerland. And then on the first day trip, we got a little tour bus, and we traveled to which used to be the old original airport, which is now an art museum. Now, in the courtyard, they had these beautiful sculptures, and unfortunately, I can't remember. And I was trying to look it up and couldn't find any information on who the artist was, but family oriented, and looks like the woman. Now that this is the original airport, which was built in the 1940s, and this is the entrance hall where you're coming off the airplane, and there was the where the passenger checked in and got their luggage, etc. And this is the artist who designed the lounge, which was a beautiful ornate room. It had this fantastic wooden relief and gorgeous ceiling, and just amazing how much wood carving and showing the living conditions, especially with the coffee plantations at the time. Yeah, all these beautiful carvings. You kind of wonder how much time it took. Well, apparently it took about 6 years to build the airport, but I imagine a lot of it had to do with the runway, etc. Also, outside near the parking lot were these huge, tall trees, and what was striking was the color of the bark. And I have no idea what kind of trees they were, but they sure were beautiful. And then the next stop was downtown, where we went to see the theater. Now, the theater was built from 1891 to 1897, and you can see there was no expenses spared. Of course, that was during the glory days of the coffee and banana producing, and so it's quite a wealthy country at the time. But anyway, the interesting part of the financing was the president of the country put an extra tax on the coffee export, and of course the coffee producers were unhappy, but it sure provided a lot of money to build this gorgeous theater. Now, during the construction, they ran into some difficulties, so they ended up hiring an Italian architect an engineer that then ended up sorting things out a bit and finally got it going. But beautiful sculptures. And this is sort of during intermission, kind of a lounge, I guess, where everybody's hanging out and have a glass of wine, or I guess probably there a cup of coffee. And look at a gorgeous windowsill, beautiful marble. I think a lot of that marble came from Brazil. And this is the doors were actually going to the theater itself to watch the performances. Now look at those beautiful balconies. And surprise, surprise, the first performance that they had in 1897 was Faust by Goethe, which kind of seems like an odd thing to put on as a performance. And after we left the theater, we went nearby a church, and again, looks like no expenses were spared. Beautiful stained glass, which I believe was made in France, and just spectacular. Always amazed me how they were able to do this fantastic work on glass. Now we're outside on the town's city square, and even there they had some interesting sculpture. Of course, they were modern, and a lot of pigeons and family having a break in the afternoon. And what's surprising about that square, there's actually a museum underneath. And interestingly enough, it was pre-Columbian, which in my books is before, I guess, Columbus arrived. So it's all the natives that actually have been able to work the gold and make different figurines. And it's surprising how beautiful they are. Well, we're leaving the downtown area and we're heading out to the country. Now the countryside, we're heading up to the rainforest, and the roads were terrible, and then I realized why they recommend that you rent the four-wheel drive if you're going up there, and sure enough. So it was a lot of potholes, and there's big boulders in the middle of the road. You just got to go around. If you didn't pay attention, probably ripped the bottom of your car right out. So anyway, it was a bit of a rough ride. So we made it up there, and we got to our destination, Pension Santa Elena. And now, this is one of the things when you book online and you're clueless, you got the pictures. But anyway, this was sort of a hippie hangout, and it was rather cozy. But unfortunately, Karen was really sick from the drive up there, and also I think the change in the elevation, so she wasn't feeling too well. But also in the evening, a lot of young people from the area came there, and were hanging out, and I guess smoking pot, and somebody was playing a guitar in the lounge, and so it was a very cozy, friendly little place. Now, the other funny thing about the place was the shower. I said to Karen, whatever you do, don't have a shower, because you might never walk out of there alive. Anyway, the way the wiring worked there, I guess I was to boost the pressure. But anyway, didn't look very safe to me. Now that we were up in the coffee growing region, we decided, well, let's go check it out. And you can see when we're up in the clouds, there's always a bit of haze, so you always have a good opportunity to get a rainbow. And here are the coffee beans, the way they're growing on the bushes. Now this weren't quite ripe yet, I don't think. Yeah, this looked like there's quite a handful there. And here one of those, I guess a sloth. They were just hanging out there, doing what they do, is eat and sleep. And here's the coffee in bloom. And here's from the olden days, they used to haul the coffee and whatever they had to move around with their beautiful carts, well painted. And then we went to one of those national parks and conservation. And actually, the trip up there was something else, because they advised us not to drive there because it was the road was rough. And I figured, well, if they say it's rough, it's going to be twice as bad as the road was when we came up on. So anyway, this guy comes by the hotel there with a minivan, and it was a minivan that's designed to seat probably 10 people. Well, he had it set up for probably got about 18, 19 people in there. And we were rocking and rolling up that road. But anyway, it was, you can see the diversity of the vegetation, and it's quite lush. Of course, we're a lot closer to the equator and we're higher elevation, so it never gets that hot and dry. So it's perfect growing conditions also for coffee. And we were amazed at the variety of all the different trees and flowers. And of course, a lot of moss hanging on the trees. A lot of different ferns as well. So it's lush. And look at the size of those trees. So now we're heading back, going down towards Nicoya Peninsula, and the road is no better going, because another road going down, but no better than the one going up. But at least now we're kind of getting used to the crummy quality gravel roads. But the countryside, you can see, it's been overgraced and all that. So now we're in Tambor Beach, which is in the Nicoya, the bottom end of Nicoya Peninsula. And this is actually part of the blue zone, where people live to be quite an old age. And there's two old guys who are trying to figure out why they call that hill behind there Alligator Island. I guess if you look at it close enough, it does look like an alligator. It's Karen having a nice walk on the beach, and here's sunset at the beach. Nice. Actually, the sand was very dark. This is, I guess, it's an air. I don't know if it's a hotel. It must be a hotel, because I had a tiki bar at the beach there, and I guess a good place to get a drink in the afternoon. And there we are, and enjoying the warm air, and thinking that, oh, poor folks in Canada are freezing their butts. And this is at the hotel we're staying at, and at the swimming pool, which came in handy. And there's mango fruit hanging on the tree. So too bad it was way up there, but Karen was tempted to get a long stick and shake one down. And then we took a little side trip to small town on the ocean, and you can see the road is rough. But also, these fences are kind of, they just put a stick in the ground, and if it grew, it grew, and then if it didn't grow, you just tie wires to it. So anyway, this is a small town, and bit of a mostly young people, hippie hangout, and because it's not on the main tourist track, but one of those hidden gems if you like smoking pot. And this is the local church there. And this is a good-sized lizard at the beach there, behind one of those restaurants along the water. You can see part of it is sandy and part of it is a little bit on the rocky side. I guess that looks almost like lava rock, but it was good enough for us. Didn't have to wear a jacket, didn't have to shovel snow. It was a perfect place to be spending some time. And this guy showed up, and I thought, well, I've never seen a squirrel that color. Wonder whether that's just Costa Rican. And then it was this boat showed up, and there's actually, they had been on across the bay, and it's at least a 50-mile trip. So, and I hate to think what it's like on a stormy day, but anyway, they unpacked the suitcases and walked up to the hotel, and this is looking at the beach and the town from the other side. So you can see it's a pretty small place, but people love it. So on the way back, we came by the cemetery, and I thought that's a different way to have a burial ground, but I guess that's what Costa Rican like. It looks like this truck kind of bit off more than he could chew. And this is the old church in at Tambor Beach, and it needs a bit of TLC. The other thing, that's just a newer church, but what struck me is they have no windows. They just have those steel bars that stop people from going in, and but that seems to be working, because you don't need air conditioning, you don't need heating. And the other thing about this area is actually part of the blue zone, where people live to be in old age. So a good place to be. So then we had to catch the ferries to get back over to the mainland. And it was a bit of a scramble getting there. And but anyway, we made it. And there's another ferry going the other way. And look, this looks like this is more of a passenger ferry. Now you can see this is a big channel that took us, I think, an hour and a half. So when that other boat came into Tambor with those tourists, that must have been one heck of a ride. And now we're coming into Punta Arenas, which was a bit of a scramble. What happened when we got there, they told us, well, passengers walk off the ferry, and the people who are driving the cars, you come in afterwards. And it's a bit of a rough looking town, but anyway, I drove the car and I couldn't see Karen anywhere, and I started to panic. I pulled in front of there was a garage there, just pulled in the parking lot and started walking back, and then finally we met up. But for 5 minutes there, I had a bit of a panic attack, because it was, like I said, it was a rough looking town. Actually, Punta Arenas way back when was where they had a railway coming in, where they transferred all the bananas and the coffees onto ships that were going up the west coast to San Francisco, and I guess even going over to Japan. So we had we had a reservation at a hotel in Sochi, and but no real address. So anyway, the guy said, "Oh, it's near that church. You'll find it." And so anyway, we're looking and looking, driving up and down, couldn't find it. And this is the sign. Now, the owner was a German fellow, and it was really, we ended up stopping somewhere and asking somebody, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's up there. You see that German flag, and that's where it is." So anyway, that's the driveway going into the hotel, and I guess the hotel, it wasn't really a hotel. It was more like it had about 3 or 4 different little casitas, and that's it. But they were very nice, and we had breakfast included. It was very pleasant. Karen was very happy with all the fresh fruit, no greasy bacon. It was quite comfortable. This is the owner and friendly lady. Had a swimming pool. We had water, so I guess we didn't get too much swimming in on that one. But so Karen got her exercise done just the same. But it also was on the edge of a rather deep ravine, and you could see quite a view. And in the far horizon was actually a extinguished volcano. It kind of explains that volcanic rocks on the beach. So it was nicely landscaped, nice view, and it was probably about a half to 45-minute drive from San Jose. And I guess a lot of these places they grow a little bit of coffee here and there and some other fruit. Now, Sochi also has a beautiful botanical garden, and we thought we'll go check it out. And what was amazing is that of course, these are a lot of them are like what we consider annuals. They're down there perennials because they don't freeze. So, and the odd thing too was we had a hard time finding a place because we thought, well, it's a botanical garden. I'm sure there's a lot of signage. So we ended up at the end we having to go by a bunch of warehouses, and there was some greenhouses where they were growing cuttings, and I think they were shipping them to Europe. But anyway, we had a hard time. So finally, we had to get Mr. Google to help us out on that. But anyway, it was quite beautiful. A lot of petunias, and as well maintained location. Of course, there's a lot of flowers that I don't recognize. And there was this fairly big walkway in the through the gardens that had this palm trees on either side, and lots of flowers and green foliage. So it was very pleasant. And that's the main building. Has a bit of a shop there where you can buy some magazines and stuff. And this was quite a creative way to have a water wheel. And that's the end of the story here, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll say so long till next time.
montaña y sol.
Solo naturaleza para los turistas.
Playa, montaña y sol.
Es que yo soy del país más lindo, donde se empieza el día con gallo pinto. Bailando cumbia tenemos un brinco original, distinto. Soy de la tierra del café y el cacao, del azúcar y el banano exportado, donde llegan personas de todo lado, donde el gringo quedó enamorado. Cuando vio lo que es la isla del coco, se enteró que sus edificios son coco. Y vino a vivir aquí si no me equivoco. Si no lo hace está loco. Yo soy de Centroamérica.